Oh, wait a minute, it's preparing to live stream. Hold on, it's doing it. Hello, hello.
What's happening with Stefan?
Are we good?
I'm just trying to get it.
Because right now it has you, it has this as the host, so
I'm
we
good.
gotta
I'm
switch it.
co-host.
You're totally
We
good?
rolled out these doors, and he had everything on.
Got it. All right, we're good.
And his book as well. And I was like, here, I said, let me help. And he's never really looked at that. He just let me mom.
Does he know it was a door?
He knows. Oh, he knows.
I met her.
Yes.
It's
With her sassy haircut that has made her more sassy.
It's
As short as it's gotten shorter, she's gotten sassier. I'm like,
It's
you
so-
can't go, she can't go your leg because I will survive.
It's so pretty though.
It really suits her, which I'm like, Kathy says she's inspired to go longer
I
on one
am,
side because
like-
of it.
Oh my god.
But I was like, you know, if she goes your legs, I would kill her.
What buttons do we have?
No, too many, I got- I got it.
Do you need help?
No.
Normally he's like,
This is one worth it.
you know, like.
I know.
I tried to-
Sorry.
And now can I
Today,
can I
I
go off?
can do something.
It was a good one.
Do we vote?
I love
Is that what will
No,
happen?
there's no votes. They randomly already chose the finalists. And I'm like,
Oh.
so we just find out on Friday.
Oh.
So we get to get dressed up.
I don't feel like
And
that.
also, you know, I'm not cleared up. I like a lot of suit. I have a wooden bow tie. I'm like, oh yeah.
I like that.
So I'm excited. My mom's like,
I'm
you know,
about
you look
I'm
good.
about to
It's
see
like,
him tomorrow.
my mom, you know, 71,
I
she's like,
don't know, I feel
girl,
like
girl,
having
girl,
you
Dana.
And that's right.
So I was like, yes.
Yes. That is right.
It's like something like this,
Oh,
isn't it?
I'm not sure.
Right?
She's, but her hair's
If
down.
I used to go
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I want.
or they actually just go.
Well, you don't do
Because it's over here.
No, I know. It's just
Yours
like-
are-
That
No,
was
I've
right.
got everything you want. Pen and it doesn't matter. It's not up there. Pen and a bottom. Yeah. Okay.
She's.
Oh
my gosh.
Yeah,
I need to
get
get
it
her
to
and
you.
say, happy men's
I like,
Health Day.
See, it says it's one.
all caps.
And
And I have vertical lines because they.
No, but
You want-
That's a lie. I'm gonna do that driving.
it is. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in right.
I used to want to be an architect until I realized there was somewhere we go.
Susan, you got my email
Oh,
about
actually.
slaves helping with the.
I did, yeah. I looped Jen into the conversation just in case she had anything else to add, but that would be great. We do have a health supplies budget that we got money for, things like that. And so whatever it costs, we'd rather, you know, she said they were around maybe $300.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's about right, because otherwise you would just write it off.
There's,
Yeah, thank you so much.
there's a couple, I didn't print very many, but there's some budget and an agenda that they need, but,
I did that,
because you don't have it.
because I didn't bring my computer like I said. I was
That's
going
good.
to.
That's what
How are you?
Oh.
I can see you.
Okay, where's the emotion face?
And just grab a budget one, too.
And a
We
budget.
won't spend terribly much time on that. It's pretty. Thank you. That's fine.
I'm ready to go.
Are these, can
That's the budget.
Seriously, I'm happy to start on that. And you are welcome to this. I don't really need this.
Okay, Sarah?
I don't want to be depressed.
Are we gonna share?
Yes.
Screen?
Did we have it there yet?
Yeah, I'm not.
No, I appreciate that about you.
I like it just on the.
Unless that's not what you were going for, and then you have work. I said, unless that's not what you were going for, I think you have work.
I could literally stand in the next stage.
Stephen,
Yes.
can you hear me? Are you running the meeting or is Dana running the meeting?
Dana is running the meeting. It's going to be weird for me to try to run it like this, so I think it'd be easier for Dana.
I think
That's how we feel about that. Okay.
All right, should we get started then?
You're a pro now.
Yeah, I know.
A pro, last month.
One time and you're a pro.
Long time.
That's all you needed.
All right, should we go ahead and get started? We don't need to do a motion call to order. do we? Or do we-
Call to order, Stephen.
Yes.
I think so. Call to order.
Okay, a motion to call the meeting to order?
We don't really need a motion. You just call it to order if you have a quorum.
We're starting,
I'm just gonna be this little voice backseat driving the whole time.
please. All right, we'll go ahead and get started then. And we'll first start with the approval of minutes from our meeting on 9/20/22. So take a minute to look at those and we can chat about any questions, clarifications, or changes.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right. Thanks. Motion approved to, or motion to approve the minutes. Right.
Vote.
A vote. Yeah, sorry.
All in favor.
All in favor?
You got this. Aye.
All opposed? Great, minutes approved. Do we have any parents or community members? All right. So then Susan, Director of Operations report.
Okay. We'll hop right in. So the first item is the policies. I'm hoping that everybody received that communication of maybe a week or two ago with the 3 health-related policies. So just to kind of explain the process, this is your first read as a board. If you have any questions, this is the time to discuss. This is the time to maybe make adjustments or edits, and then we'll send what we decide to send off to our legal counsel. And she will review, she'll send it back to us when she's able to, and then we will have a second read and potentially, hopefully, a vote to approve the policies. So there is no vote today that we're applying to this, but this was the first read of the anaphylaxis and epinephrine policy, the concussions and return to learn policy, and the individual diabetes care plans and diabetes education policy. So did anybody have any questions about those policies that were sent out, or concerns about any of the language in the policy? Looks like no, so I will move these over to our lawyer for review. Just so you know, our school nurse has been very involved in all of these health-related policies, and she does reference her colleagues, in particular Nash County has been listed as an exemplar for health-related policies, so she has been working with them to construct what we have here. So they have been referenced, they have been researched, and now we'll just send them off to legal. So that is done there. Finance and facilities, we will have an audit presentation. It should be by next board meeting. We do have to schedule this. I'm hoping we don't go into December with that. But the final conclusions on the audit have not been shared with us to date, but we should be getting some information on that very soon. We have submitted everything that we need to submit. They have followed up and gotten all of the documentation that they need to get. So we're just waiting for that final go ahead, and then we will present to the board our closeout for fiscal year 22, and then any items of note from the audit that they bring back to us. So we're slated for November. We're hoping that will come to fruition there. And then for the 22-23 budget update, what you have before you is a consolidated budget. This is really what we're looking at here. I mean, you see the revenue. You might not see some revenue that has been deposited month to date or year to date, because counties develop their own schedule for how they're going to pay us our funds. So particularly in our local revenue, oh dear. Hello?
Someone's on mute.
Neil showed up in the Zoom, so I muted him because I guess that was him.
Hi, Neil. But what you will want to pay attention to, and we are going to have a quarterly presentation from Robin Millette at our next board meeting, so she's going to go into greater detail and discuss where we are. But on the expenses, you'll note that if you're looking in this category and we're hitting around 75%, that's really where we want to be, because we're about a quarter of the way through the budget year. Our fiscal year starts July 1. So you'll see most of that is trending in that direction. Some is above. If you look at, for example, contracted student services, those are our EC services for the most part, and we're not getting those invoices until just about now. So we just actually paid out about $5,000 of that through these invoices from the past week. So you'll see that number go lower each month, but right now we're just catching up on those invoices that have been submitted. And then the facilities is a little low, low in what we have left in the percent remaining. But that's due to the fact that the beginning of the year was very project heavy, as we noted before. So that's why that number is only floating at about 50%, but we will not extend ourselves beyond what we budgeted for those projects. Technology is another area. You tend to see those numbers go increase when it hits about February, March, because that's when we're doing the ordering for that next year. So for example, we have to get all of these Chromebooks in order. We're gonna have to do a couple of sets of Chromebooks this year to replace those that are outdated and those that need to be going into next year. So that's when you'll see those numbers start to decrease in terms of the percent remaining. Any questions about, in that capital campaign 660, if you wanna make a note, that's fine. We are going to spend that money this year. We've been back and forth, and I'll get into that in the facilities report, but yeah, that'll be down to 0 by the end of this year. Any questions on the budget? Perfect. All right, so the October facilities report is linked and not printed out. I will do just a brief overview for you. The only thing lingering on our summer project update is that shipyard sign. We did have Duke Energy out here. They looked at the site and provided us with a location that will not cost the school because we actually have an existing meter on a well. So we'll be able to hook into that for the electric for the sign that it requires.
Y'all have a well on campus?
Yes,
Awesome.
at the gym.
Why don't we use that for our water? Where this comes from? Up there? I mean, that's a.
That is my understanding. Now, I am venturing into a domain that I don't consider myself an expert in, so I don't want to go on record and say that, but we pay a sizable water bill each month, so I'm not really sure what's metering there, but you identified one on our property that we can actually meter into for the lab.
It'll be non-existent.
But I will look into that to see exactly what the purpose of that is. Due to the placement of the sign, we're now moving forward with a one-sided sign. It was two-sided at one point, but because it's going to be parallel to the road instead of perpendicular, a two-sided sign just doesn't make sense now. And of course, because the project has been delayed, the cost associated with the project has gone up substantially. So in order to keep us within budget, which it is, it's one-sided and hooking into the well. So we still are actually coming in a couple of $100 under budget for our capital campaign sign. The playground, we have exciting news. There was a 50% deposit that we just cut the check for. And a little less than 50% because they don't, the installation is not factored into it. So it's 50% of the material. So we are excited that we have submitted all of the documentation and now we're just waiting for materials to be ordered and installation to begin, hopefully late spring of this year. So that's what we're trying for.
The monkey bars that are put up. My kids are, I took it, they are
So
so
they're-
excited.
Oh,
That's
good.
just a replacement from, they
Who
were,
got it? Who made it happen? I want my kids to send a thank you, like they're
Yeah.
so excited about it.
Jerry Bradford
Okay.
is the contractor, and Ben, he's done a lot of the
And
work
Ben Rose?
around our campus and has contracted with him. So originally, we were not with the company, they were trending out until late November. So Jerry said, I can get it done, I'll come in on the weekend. and
They
do it."
love it.
I know.
They
They're easy to
are
please right now.
and I thought you were gonna say something else, Nancy, but I was gonna actually say, I wanna acknowledge publicly, no, that's good.
Yeah.
I wanna publicly acknowledge, the partnership too, for, the, you know, when Susan just talked about the funding and the down payment, so they've given us a check
Oh,
for $8,000. So we really appreciate that for the playground, and that money has been put into the account to start going towards the
got 50%.
to the 50%, along with the money that we raised, that, you know, the teachers and the community raised through Eugene Under the Oak. So that was a good chunk of money for both of those
Nice.
projects. So thank you to the partnerships. Just really
Yay.
appreciate their
Yeah,
support.
they're awesome.
Yes,
They are
absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely, for both,
Mhm.
that's a lot of effort on both of those parts, so thank you.
Yeah, so that was my next little bullet there, $8,000 they contributed.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, I didn't see that bullet.
Upcoming and completed projects. So we've got camera installation scheduled for October 31st. The total cost was quoted at $5,000, and we will potentially pay this through the safety grant if we're approved for that. But we do have money budgeted for this should we not get approved for the safety grant. The cameras were the ones that were left over. So there were 11 total cameras that were being installed, and we found a company that's able to do that and get us hooked up and ready for that. So that'll be around the campus, both inside the building and externally, where we were lacking some of that supervision from the cameras. So that's definitely a safety concern from our standpoint. Exterior maintenance, the metal picnic tables, they were all missing screws and have been replaced. That cost $200. The playground equipment for the 4-H playground, as Nancy had mentioned, that was up actually before the parking lot project. That's why it was taken down to make room for the parking lot. So now it is back up. Thank you to Jerry Bradford. The total cost for the installation was about $470, so that was not bad. Interior maintenance, we had a student bathroom. I don't want to call it a renovation. I feel like that's a little bit of a broad term, but we did, they don't look different, but we did have all faucets in the student bathrooms replaced over the break. So that was much needed. They were getting really grimy. All of the sinks have been re-caulked and sealed. So we were starting to like whittle away at that material, whatever that material is. And it's hard to clean now. So we had that done instead of replacing the whole thing. And the bathroom vanities were resealed and refurbished as well. That was also with the help of Jerry Bradford over our break. So the total cost for everything, materials and installation and labor cost was $2,624.44. So it did prevent us from having to totally replace all the vanities in the bathroom, and it will buy us a little bit longer life inside of our bathrooms with all of that equipment. So that is it for the facilities. Any questions or concerns there? I think our school's looking pretty great. If I do say so myself. Thank you to Ben Rose and Cassell and everybody who works every day to keep it the way that it is. So appreciate that. Then we have our HR report. This does not require closed session, and Kim's going to get into this in her director of education report, but we are still working on filling our science vacancy. We do have an interview scheduled for the end of this week, and we are very hopeful for that, but we have not filled that position. So that's the only vacancy that we have and what we're still working toward. And we do want to give a lot of credit for our teachers, who many of whom are here right now, who are helping to support that. And Kim will get into the curriculum pieces as well. And then the safety debrief. So Kim and I had discussed, and Kim, please jump in as you would like. The Friday after our last board meeting was actually when our safety incident took place. So we've never publicly discussed it at a board meeting. So we just wanted to kind of review some of the events that happened and some of the things that we put in place after the fact to kind of put it out there for everybody. So just the background, on September 23rd at approximately 3:05 p.m. shots, what were perceived as firecrackers at the time, but they were live gunshots, were heard in the vicinity of the campus. After the sounds were heard, students were ushered back into the building pretty immediately. The staff assisted with that. Mr. Ben Pierce took the lead on that, and everyone was quickly escorted back into the building. Mr. Pierce also contacted local EMS to report the shots fired and develop a plan of communication for a safe exit. So they were to tell us when it is safe for us to release our students. Students were dismissed at approximately 4:20 p.m. And that's approximate. So we're looking at, we were over an hour in holding pattern with the teachers inside of the classrooms, keeping the kids calm and safe. It's a pretty extended period of time. So I think all told, it went very well. We got a lot of positive feedback. Yeah, worst time, but that's when everything happens, is at the worst time and not when you do your
Pretty
drills.
good considering.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was the background there. For debrief, we immediately after the event, leadership team met. All right, it's fresh in our minds. Now we need to talk about what are some things that we need to change for next time. We were hoping there's not next time, but what are some of the things that we need to look at? So communication was the biggest piece, and we got some feedback from our staff as well, it was very unclear what was happening in the moment. What was the level of the threat? We're bringing the students back in, and then the focus was on the outside of the campus because it wasn't necessarily a direct threat to our campus, but we couldn't 100% confirm. So we had some teachers in a shelter in place, which would typically be that model, and other teachers who were actively in a lockdown where they had students in the corner, which is what you would do to hide from any potential intruder. Yes, silent, no talking.
No movie.
We were considering peeing in buckets.
Oh dear. So what should have happened, and we had discussed this outside, Ben and I actually discussed this. I said, should we make the call over the loudspeaker? The concern was then, are we going to escalate concerns inside the building, scare the students? So then the plan was, we're going to dispatch people down the hallways to explain to each classroom, hey guys, this is the situation. It just wasn't immediate enough, so we had kindergarten and first grade students in a corner for about 20, 25 minutes. So that was a problem, and we wanted to make sure that we had a plan for how to correct that. So obviously, I think widespread communication via the walkies if we need to, or via the loudspeaker. We just need to identify what type of event we're experiencing. Yeah.
Lockdown or shelter in place.
Right, exactly. And that's all, and we don't need to go into specifics, but we do need to have a better course of action there.
No judgment. We did great.
No, I think everybody did, but if we don't do this, then we're not doing a good job, you know, that's how we look at it. The backup communication was an issue, so Swift Reach, we knew, see, here's the irony of this. Kim had been working tirelessly on Swift Reach for that entire week leading up to this issue. We knew we weren't sending communication out. We knew that was an issue. Unfortunately, this happened and we did not have an ability to massively communicate to our school community. So we had parents who were like, I have the Facebook community on my phone. Should I put something out there? And at that moment, that was the best that we were getting. So that's how some of that communication went out, because despite the efforts, it just took too long to get us to a point where we were able to communicate to everybody. So that has been fixed. Swift Reach has been fixed, but we do need a backup. So we discussed having the backup email, that we have an Excel sheet. Again, that doesn't take away the element. If your internet's down, then you really don't have a lot to work with at that point. So then it's just kind of word of mouth communication. How can we get the word out? So it was helpful in that moment to have social media. I'm never saying I've never uttered those words in my life, but I felt very blessed to have that opportunity in that moment. Then it was ensuring all parties were informed. So AlphaVest is our aftercare program, and we were so focused on our students and what we were doing inside the classrooms that it took a little while to get to them. They need to know right away. They need to be on these communications. We need to have something in place that immediately shoots something out to them. So
Are
we
they
have.
on our walkies? Do they have walkies and communicate in that same regard? No.
They do not. That incident prompted us to buy more walkies.
Oh, okay.
So it certainly is a possibility to, again, broaden our walkie horizons. But we just talked about making sure that that contact was made right away, because that was something that was lacking there too. But that's any extracurricular activity. If parents are having a club or something going on inside of the building, or we have some kind of after school activity like Riptide Runners, imagine coupling that with a situation like that.
They run down the street.
Right, exactly. So these are things that, saying all of this is not to cause alarm or anxiety. It's we are now moving forward our future actions. We already had a safety team that was established, but we're reestablishing with new members, staff members. We're going to invite parents, local authorities. We've already scheduled the walkthrough for the people to come around our building. And we do that every year. We do a threat assessment. But I think when things like this happen, it really makes it real that we need to, this is how we responded in real time. How do we need to change our protocols? So yes, we are refining and adjusting, and the staff can attest to this. From the beginning of this year, we said our safety plan needs to be refined and addressed, and our safety team is going to be looking at that. Yes, ma'am.
I did not have an opportunity to place this on my reflection sheet because it didn't, quite frankly, didn't even occur to me. But again, at the retreat, parents that were there, one question that was asked of us staff was, what do we do with these people? Because they were literally waiting in line. And had there been an immediate threat, there would have been no way for those parents to go anywhere.
Right.
So is that part of
That
the
wasn't
plan to, like, we bring kids back in the building, they need to
Sitting ducks.
disperse? I'm just bringing, I don't know if you have
Well,
answered
we
that,
have
but that
somebody coming
definitely,
tomorrow.
Right, we do
Okay.
have,
We're talking.
definitely consider that, though.
that's a great point. When you don't have a large portion of your population riding buses, and you
Right.
it's 100% car rider
Right.
population, that's something. And we don't have an ideal parking lot either. It's not like we have this loop around that's gonna get us quickly out of here. So, yeah, we're deferring to the experts. None of us consider ourselves those people, but definitely looking to partner with different local municipalities to make sure that we have a plan for that too. So that's a great point.
You said someone's coming tomorrow.
I'm just saying, we are looking at safety tomorrow with the leadership team.
I had a question, is Swift Bridge something we pay for?
Yes,
Yes.
we do.
And so, is it resolved? Is it on
Yes,
its way?
as far as we know.
And how does one sign up? Because I was wishing I just didn't have a class, so I walked the hall and went, anybody need me? And there were children in Donnelly's room and no Donnelly, so I just went in, and they were already in a state circle, and we just played like pie cakes finally. And then, because he was dealing with outside stuff,
He was
so I
on
was
the
like,
other block.
this is perfect. But I was wishing that I was getting whatever communication was going out, because I had no idea.
Right.
So if there could be a way that faculty get to sign up.
You do, it just didn't go out to you. So you are, when you get the community update, that it just has to be that we click staff too. So it's just a matter of clearing up communication because you should have gotten it.
Even for like the phone, is there a phone call one too? Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. Yep, you just check the buttons of how you want the communication to go out.
Now, the problem with the phone call is that it will sometimes take about an hour to cycle through that entire loop of communication.
Oh, wow.
Because it goes and hits and hits and hits and it cycles through that whole list. So the more immediate is the email or the text message that we've been exploring. And
That's just a matter of
experimenting with.
clicking those buttons because we'll do all of those. Cool. We'll do all.
As
Right.
a parent and teacher and
Yeah.
as a parent, I get it quicker on a text message. As a teacher, I don't often get. Like I'll get things that other teachers.
And that might be that because you have to look at whose phone numbers, how the numbers are in there too.
Sure.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
feedback pieces.
No, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and we even discussed, staff check your email. If we're able to, now granted, this is dependent upon the situation. So if it's a dire situation and everybody's in lockdown, that communication might look a little bit different. We don't have the time, we don't have the ability to get into a computer. But if we do, and in this case, we could have sent out an email saying, here's what's going on, this is all we know right now. Then Rose gets on the intercom and says, staff, please check your email for an update. And then that could have resolved that problem too. So we did talk about some things like that because we certainly don't want you all in the dark, not knowing what's happening, because that creates a lot of anxiety as well. The safety measures that were previously in place, I just wanted to highlight some of these things because Amy had a great point. I think some people just might not be aware that we have some of these things in place. So I had mentioned, drills are regularly scheduled and implemented at CFCI. We've been religious with the fire drills. We have not to date had an active shooter drill though, so we have to get that on the books. The state does not really require much in the realm of active shooter in terms of like a monthly drill. Most schools don't do that. But the more we practice, the more apt we are to react that same way in an emergency
Have they always
situation.
been called that? I don't remember ever doing an active shooter. We've done lockdowns, we've done shelter in place, we've done tornado, fire. but-
That would be a lot,
A lot,
drill.
okay.
Yeah, so I'm going
Okay.
right into Alice
Right.
thinking in my mind.
Same thing.
I know, we're not
No,
there.
you're good.
We are not.
I was like, but that's the same thing.
We're not there
Lockdown
yet,
is-
and we're also a K grade school, so especially with the elementary.
Yeah.
piece of that, usually that's not, we don't get involved that way.
Okay.
So just, when we have more information, we'll give the faculty information.
And to clarify, law enforcement often refers to our lockdown drill as an active shooter
Okay.
drill, so that's probably what
Okay.
Sorry about that. We established a new location for the front office. We mentioned this before, but that did ensure that all entrances and exits are locked throughout the school day. That's really huge for our campus to ensure safety. So they get buzzed in, but that front door is locked. It didn't used to be. People used to walk right in and then they're here. And if that's a threat, that's a problem. So that did help us there. We're still working through all of that. I think all 100% of our classrooms should be able to be locked. I know Ms. Kay's
Did I get
classroom,
fixed yet?
you got it fixed the next day. Yeah.
Oh,
It came in with a giant magnet. We fixed that. We learned during the drill that she couldn't lock her door though. Or not drill, the event. So had that been a situation where you needed your door locked, that would have been a big issue. So we did fix that
Thank
right
you.
away. You're quite welcome. And then security cameras were previously installed. The accessibility, the location throughout the building, that all needed to be improved upon. So that's what's being installed as of October 31st. So these are things that we've looked at, but we've made plans for well before we experienced the event. Is there anything else you want to add, Kim?
No, not for that.
Okay.
Thought it went well, all things considered, and it being a live event. So.
All right, that's it for me.
Do we have any idea of what's gonna happen tomorrow?
We just have somebody coming in that's helping us assess our building
Is
and the
this
campus.
law enforcement consultant?
It's
I would say both. Ben
it's not
Pierce
official,
set this up.
it's a, we thought it out.
Informal.
That doing more of like a threat assessment and determining,
Sure.
the areas where we might want to pay attention to with the building. We do have calls out to emergency medical services and different departments as well to come in here as well. We are required to submit an assessment, a safety assessment to the state each year as well. So that's something that we'll be walking through with this person. And we did mention there were several people in our school community who are first responders. We didn't know a lot of that. So a lot of the information we were actually getting during the event was from people in their cars saying,
Yeah.
oh, I'm
They're
off
first
duty.
responders.
I know this information.
Wow.
Here's the deal. Because for the first half hour, we did not know that they were actually shots fired. We didn't know. We didn't have any confirmation of that. And then we learned.
just
that
were
It
making
sounded
assumptions.
like those.
it sure sounded like it, and then we started moving as we should have, and Kim did get some feedback from the sheriff, saying that, our reaction was exactly what we should have done in terms
That's
of
good.
bringing the kids back in the building and doing what we did.
We
So,
did it, the response was appropriate, very appropriate, and the parents should feel good about what we did.
so that's,
Right.
Do we need to vote to approve the review of the policies?
we do not, that's the first read, we'll have to approve it next time.
So, I'm kind of messed up here, so let me just explain. So Susan talked about, our search for a science teacher, and we do have an interview on Friday. We do have, currently a substitute teacher who is, doing science. We do have the, team. It's stressful not to have a teacher here and a science teacher per se, right? And Kathy Mintz has done a great job. The team has done a great job. The whole middle grades team has done a great job. But just really appreciate all the work that's been done to support our subs and to support the kids. And Kathy just is the 8th grade teacher that we just really want to say thank you to you and the team. So one of the things that I had talked to everyone about, and I did some research over break and then this past week, and then I've sat in a lot of meetings and talked to a lot of curriculum companies, really felt we need some curriculum that is aligned to North Carolina state standards. Whether it's a substitute cold or it's a new person coming in, they need some kind of a foundation. And it's just too much to ask somebody to come in and hit the ground running. So I think we've decided on one. It's not uber expensive, which is good. And when I say that, I think the cost will probably be around $600 or $700 for the 5 classes that are being taught. And it is aligned with North Carolina state standards. I did introduce the sub that we currently have to it, and they really like it and felt like it was something that was very useful and would help her with the kids, but also just setting her up for success. So I think a teacher coming in, and whoever that teacher is, will also have that as a resource, which is great. I haven't decided final, so I hate to say it, but I looked at Discovery Ed, we looked at STEM Scopes, this is the one that I'm specifically looking at. There's a few, Generation Genius, but STEM Scopes is the one that,
So it's more comprehensive.
Yeah.
That's fine.
yeah,
And it's inquiry.
Generation.
it's
In nature,
encouraging.
in
Yeah,
nature.
yeah, and that's the thing, I mean, science by nature is, but everything that we looked at had to have, be inquiry driven, so, yeah, for sure. There's nothing that's lockstep, everything is, you can pull different things, different resources, that there's videos already set up, that there's, the readings that kids can do, the games that they're playing, the vocabulary, it's already set for you, and then as you get to know it a little bit better, you can pick and choose things, and then you can, the experiments and the labs that they do are all set up, ready to go, because that's a big part of it. But the research that they're doing, the hands-on that they're doing is all very comprehensive. So yeah,
That's my favorite.
yeah, I think it's good.
But Amplify also did show more.
Well, Amplify
get the
was
chance.
$15,000. So that would have been a big, no.
Like, it was very comprehensive.
Right.
It had a lot of options.
Yeah,
It covered
thank
all
you.
everything that you're
Yeah. It's a big difference.
Difference.
It's a big difference, and I have to say, even with Amplify, for example, it would have been, to me, it's a good program, so I would never talk it down, except
No.
that it really was, they're on the computer and they're really,
Was it
that,
also North Carolina Alliance?
No,
You have to
same
buy
with,
all 3 grade levels instead
right.
of 2?
Same with Discovery Ed, I mean, or it is NGSS, but it is not. And STEM Scopes, they have a bump up to the NGSS, but I said, no, I don't need that, I just want North
What is that
Carolina.
letter?
It's the next generation science standards.
Okay.
So, yeah. So anyway, we just wanted to let you know about that. And I feel comfortable. I mean, the work that's being done with the kids right now is good work. So please, everybody know that's happening. So with that said, the next piece is moving to enrollment. As of October 1st, we did have a family leave that had 2 students they withdrew because they were moving out of state. And so now our number rests at 407. I did put the current enrollment status with seats filled at each level on the number 3 of the director's report, just so you have it. Does anybody have any questions about enrollment at this point? So moving into, and Susan, you jump in on this one, I had just added it, but the lottery, our lottery application will be opening up in December, and lottery day is actually Wednesday, February 15th at 9 a.m. is when we usually push the button, I guess now. And we will be holding informational sessions as always in January and February for interested families. So those dates will be determined, but we just wanted to put it on your radar that it's coming. Any questions about that? Susan has Deborah Korb in the front office working on a plan for how we're going to educate people in the community to our school. I mean, we always tend to do fairly well with enrollment lottery or applications. But that plan is coming and we can give you more information at the next meeting. So for just again, wanted to make sure you had access. I mean, most of your parents, so you have access to the weekly community updates that we do. And we just wanted to make sure that there was a link provided so you have them in front of you and you could look back if you needed to. Any questions about the community updates? Anything that you'd like to add or?
I think they're amazing. And like, I love how
Can't
they
keep
do
going.
that. I know we said this last time, but it's just like every week, it's like, there's a new picture, makes me wanna look down.
I know,
Makes you
or-
go, oh, what's
Or
different
Kim's
this
little
week?"
added
Yeah.
details and quotes on it, like I
love
actually look, like I'll read it and look
then I-
forward to what you're.
Think how long it took you to write it. but I'm
I
grateful.
know.
And think you're crazy, and is she up at 2:00 in the morning doing this?
But they-
You say.
That's your
call you
golden
a
hour,
liar,
Kim,
but-
it's your golden hour.
If I'm being
2 and
selfish,
5.
I love the fact that we don't have to wait for a quarterly and then it
Yeah.
sneaks up on us and we're like, hey, teachers, we need,
Do
and
it,
I'm like,
get
oh
kicked.
gosh, what have we done?
Well, I
Like
think
4
this
months,
is-
right? I don't remember what I ate for breakfast, let
Well,
alone
and
what
I
I
think
did.
the
for 3
idea
months.
is that, and this is what we've talked about in the past, is just keeping communication alive and well. And then I think the idea behind newsletters had been that people would be able to see a K-8, because, you know, if you've got little ones, you want to know what's going on, and if you have bigger ones, you want to see what's coming for. So I think that that's kind of nice that they get to do that.
Do you feel like it's sustainable at this pace?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
I've been watching it, I'm like, is this really hard? Or is she
It
figuring out a
gets
system
longer
where
and
it's
longer.
not?
I know, I'm trying to
More.
take those things on the bottom and get rid of them, you know.
No,
I would just
wanna make
say-
sure it's sustainable and it's not.
No, it is. I mean, like I keep saying to Susan, I am gonna get out of here one day on a Friday and not do it on a Saturday morning, but,
Right.
but I have to say, even like this week, I've had some, you know, breaks, and, I've got a document running, and
Yeah.
I'm learning, right? Like I've got the document running, people can add to it, people have been sending photos, and so now that people know about it, it's just easier to do.
Okay,
So, no, I think
I
it is.
just wanted to make sure
Thank you.
it wasn't you telling me.
So, no, it's good.
that one.
So partnership, just wanted you to know that we had our second meeting, for partnership. It's, coming around, it's alive and well. We've got a really nice group of people that are, interested in making sure, sorry, I'm thinking about PCN and I said partnership. Did you see it? Joanne's looking at me like, Kim, you are making a mistake right now. So partnership, our fabulous PCN's down below. I'm gonna let that go. Partnership is holding its fall book fair in the NPR right now, and we're really excited. They do this twice a year, and it's just such a great fundraiser for them, but also mostly for our school and for our teachers, because new books get added to libraries, and the kids have reading matter that they bring home, and I just love that it's this kind of an event. And they are going to be initiating Fund the Wonder. That'll go out in the community update this week. So stay tuned for that, Fund the Wonder.
They have family night this week.
Oh, sorry, thank you. Family night is this Thursday, and that starts, there's a flyer that just went out a couple times, actually. I think it starts at 5:30. So if you can make it, do come.
I saw that.
Teachers get free
I'm
on.
not gonna lie,
Yeah.
I was motivated. You're motivated. I mean.
Any questions about partnership?
What
They're
about
amazing.
Fund the Wonder? Is that-
I just said Fund the Wonder is coming out, that
Okay,
information is
sorry.
coming out. No, it's okay. I just, it's coming out, and you'll get more information in the community update this week.
Okay, because I haven't gotten my link. I'm ready to donate.
Yep, there you go. There you go. We'll make a big deal.
Check it off.
I would like to say that whatever changes they've made this year, it feels very much more like present and and lovely and like wonderful. Like I just want to say thank you to them and all their efforts that they've done to make it
They're
that,
great.
you know.
They're great.
Yeah. And they're just a bigger face and a presence.
Yeah.
I mean, I know COVID. is not that
Yeah, I think that's part of it, right? There's more events happening, and yeah, I agree.
getting on the calendar.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Always does.
overnight field experiences, just want you to have this on your radar as a board. We're gonna be talking about it more as a faculty and staff. But our teachers are beginning to get students back out in these hands-on real-world experiences. We're looking at alternate transportation for longer trips, especially for overnights. We just really want to say that because we just had a wonderful middle grades retreat, which I did write to you a little bit about, and was in the community update. That trip was incredible, and the teachers getting ready for that and actually being on it, incredible. Just really want to say thank you to all of them. all the people that helped get it set up, whether they were a chaperone, they were parent, driver, or whatever, you know, people in the front office, Jen Ripple, you know, getting medical things, Susan collecting money, all of those things. It really took a lot to get it to go. So just starting to think about the cost of these trips, and you know, when you're thinking about an overnight like that, it was a lot of people out, and it was a lot of people coming back at different times. And you know, what would be some other possibilities to be able to get kids out for overnights? And we do have Williamsburg coming up.
You think we might be able to look into like grants for the bus? Like that's something that we could potentially look into?
There are some bus grants. I mean, like that
That would
was,
change the course of those trips.
yeah, I don't know that, I mean, we can look at that, definitely look into
I
it.
was thinking donors choose too, but that's a lot, you know,
No,
that
it's
usually
usually
only covers
Yeah.
trips.
Yeah.
But you're right, it makes it easier on the whole school community when we're all on the bus together.
Right, and I think what we could look at is if a trip is over 2 hours, or, you know, maybe
Yeah.
put an hour thing on it, how long does it take?
Right.
You know, and we have talked more about, you know, looking at getting a big bus that would take a grade level, you know, and it would require somebody to have their CDL,
Yeah.
that type of thing. So those are the conversations as a faculty, as a community, we need to have, so. But this is not to say anything negative, this is just to say, it's good to have the conversations and know that there's great things happening. How do we keep it happening? So now we can talk about PCM. So PCM, we've had our second meeting, and that was today, and we've got representation for all of the loop levels. And I think we're just finishing up getting a chairperson for it. I think that's fine. We just have to confirm it. So we will be bringing that slate of people to you at the next board meeting so that you can approve that. The types of things that they're looking at right now are helping with the strategic planning, working on even like this field trip type of thing. They'd like, you know, to seek more information from parents and bring it back to the PCN and bring it back to leadership. So they're excited and really looking forward to working with them. And then the last thing is the strategic planning. Susan and I are both excited about the planning that happened right after the board meeting last time. It happened the week after. And we had a good amount of people, probably about 8 people, not huge, but a good amount. Plus Happy came, and Susan and myself, Dr. Gracie led that for us. We came up with some really great dreams and hopes and dreams type of work. And that start of getting our strategic plan going. We have our next strategic planning meeting next Wednesday, October 26th at 5:30. Please, if you'd like to come and just be there. It was about an hour and a half. I would anticipate probably about an hour this next time. And if you could come and be a part of that, that's great. Anybody that's listening, I'll be putting it again in the community update. So we just, you know, the more people that are involved, the better vision that we can have.
Including students.
Including
Including
students. Yep.
students. If you're
Yeah,
listening and have
zero
kiddos
students.
that want to come,
If
bring them.
if they want to, we also we have plans on also reaching out to students during the school day too. And to our teachers, our faculty and staff. Everybody needs to be involved, but this is that beginning phases. So we're excited about what we've already done. So anyway, and the only thing that we would say is if the numbers are light the next time, next week, we may make the decision to forego the December meeting. So get in there so that we can have a great meeting and make a decision about what we want to do next. Jenny,
No, I
anything you
think
want to add
that's
to that?
An RSVP.
Yes, we'll be
Yes.
sending out another RSVP tomorrow to the community and the staff as well.
And there's also an
We can RSVP.
Yeah, and there's also an RSVP button in the community updates too. So yeah, feel free to hit that too. Yeah. So that's it. Any questions? Okay.
All right, I guess the only update then is for committees. Just as a reminder, of the committee work that's being done there, the agendas from the last meeting, from the last time they met, or I guess it would have been the first time, is September 30th, and they're all linked there, so you can take a look at those. And then the next time you all are meeting again is October 31st.
That's right.
So again, if board members can be there as well. And it's a full day.
Full day, the 31st.
So the meetings will start at 9.
She's very upset because the schools were out.
Okay,
That's right.
I missed that.
I know. We're thinking.
I think it is
9 o'clock is when they begin.
8:30.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 8:30 because it's not 8:30, 9:30 on the share, it's 9:30 to 10.
Okay.
There you go. My brain just had to adapt.
Okay. So anybody else have any other announcements or things to share? Great. Vote to adjourn the meeting.
Let's do adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Yay. Motion approved to adjourn. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
I
everyone.
did it right at the end.
Bye, Steve. Bye, Neil. Bye, Steven.
Very elegant.
Bye, guys.